My sister-in-law banned me from going to her party. A party that's being held in my own house, because, according to her, my appearance would ruin the vibe. And honestly, making enemies with Germany in World War II might have been safer. I'm absolutely furious right now. So if this post is messy, full of typos, or sounds like her ugly face, forgive me. Okay, here's some context. I'm 36. I've been married to my husband Victor, who's 37, for 10 years now. Our marriage? Solid. Except for one thing. Actually, one person. My evil sister-in-law. Brie. That's what she insists on being called. She's 31. And she's completely out of her mind. The whole package. Loud. Rude. Narcissistic. She's every red flag in the psychology manual. If you ever meet someone like her, there are only two options. Run. Or throw her off a cliff. No joke. And no, I'm not saying this just because we don't get along. It's not like she refused to lend me makeup once or anything dumb like that. She is a monster. Part of it? She's always lived the easy life. The other part? Possibly demonic possession, and I wish I were kidding. She doesn't make good money. Scratch that, she doesn't make any money. She's always with some rich loser, just rich enough to keep funding her over-the-top lifestyle. And sorry not sorry for calling her boyfriends losers. Because you have to be a very specific kind of loser to date Brie. But instead of just enjoying her pampered life quietly. This witch drags the rest of us into her circus. Always looking for ways to flaunt her life in front of us. With all the grace of a pig at a black tie gala. Every family gathering. She pulls out the latest iPhone like it's a lifeline. I literally can't breathe unless I have the newest one, she'd moan. Then she'd flash photos of some fancy apartment to whoever's nearby. Look at this, I'm moving in next month. The old one just feels so suffocating. Before anyone could respond, she'd smirk and say, "Yeah, it's a little expensive. But who cares, my rich boyfriend's paying." Every single time, I swear I could hear a blood vessel burst in someone's forehead. She'd look directly at me or talk just loud enough that I had to hear. And every time, it felt like a not-so-subtle jab. Like I should feel embarrassed for settling for less. Does she even remember my husband is her brother? I nearly cried tears of joy when she moved out of state. Family events got so much calmer. Peaceful. Normal. But of course, now she's back. And believe it or not, she's worse than before. Apparently, her new boyfriend is just shy of royalty. Inherited wealth, obsessed with appearances, a perfect clone of her. Honestly, it's like someone took Brie's DNA, added a Y chromosome, and boom, made a male version. But unlike her, Adrian doesn't show off. He just enjoys life. Sure, his chill attitude bugs me sometimes. But it's not jealousy. It's like he knows he's filthy rich and simply doesn't care. At least he's not constantly waving it in people's faces like she does. Victor and I, we believe happiness is more than money. It's about being with people you love. And, most importantly, being healthy. I work customer service for a popular holistic product company. Victor runs a small business. It's growing, slowly but surely. We have a roof over our heads. We're okay. Maybe we have more than others. Maybe we don't. But at least we don't shove it down anyone's throat. A few weeks ago, Brie posted a photo on Facebook. Her left hand, with a massive ring on it, resting on her boyfriend's perfectly manicured hand. She tagged me, along with 30 other people. The caption? Didn't expect it, but I said yes ring. Sneak peek of my 20-carat diamond ring gemstone. Now that's luxury, not everyone gets to enjoy it face-blowing a kiss. I knew that was aimed at us. But I just kept scrolling. No way was I giving her the satisfaction of my attention. Next day. Another post. She announced to the whole internet that she'd be having a huge engagement party in 2 weeks. She tagged most of our family and friends. My love is throwing me the party of a lifetime to propose Sparkling Heart. If you're seeing this, congrats, you're invited. Just kidding. You need an invite first. Face with tears of joy nail polish. I sighed. Again. Why does everything with her have to be such a production? Honestly, I wasn't expecting to be invited. Turns out I was wrong. She called me on our landline. Yes, we still have one. If you think that's outdated, go ahead and sue me. She asked if I'd seen her posts. I told her I'd been busy. She sighed. Yeah, busy trying to survive. Can't relate. Sorry. Then she let out the most evil laugh I've ever heard. I scoffed. Ignored her. Then she asked me to be part of her bridal court. I was stunned. Why would she want me there? I wasn't flattered, I was confused. Suspicious. She even invited me to a dress fitting. Oh, don't worry about the cost, my fiancé will pay, she said. That was it. My blood boiled. It wasn't even about including me. It was about showing off. Again. I hung up. Said. If your fiancé has so much money, maybe he can buy you a new face. But before getting to the point, she started talking about how her boyfriend was paying for everything and how her own family wasn't doing a single thing. She even said out loud, my family isn't even pulling their weight. Victor asked her, what does that mean? She shrugged and pulled a piece of paper from her purse. A list of things that still needed to be covered. She began reading the list slowly, out loud. Until she paused and said, yes, you guys could help with the venue. I could hear them from the kitchen. And the moment she said that, I paid attention. Victor went silent. Then she went on. I was thinking. What if I use your new house for my engagement party? Some context here. Victor and I bought a house last year. We had been eyeing that property for years. Saving up ever since we got married. We were waiting for his business to take off. And last year, he landed a big client, a major company. And our income finally went up. The first thing he did with those earnings was secure our dream home. It's a beautiful property, big garden, private parking. We're still renovating the interior to our taste. And we plan to move in next month. Victor called me over. But before I could say anything, she jumped in. What, you can't make a decision on your own? He told her. The house belongs to both of us. My wife has just as much say as I do. He explained that he needed to check with me before agreeing to lend the house. But then she said. Exactly. That's the whole point. You don't live there yet, and I could decorate it my way. And by the way, it's not like I'm renting it. Obviously, you can't charge your sister. There I was, listening to all that nonsense. Victor looked at me. God knows what he expected me to do. Meanwhile, this witch says. So, when can I use the house? She wasn't even asking anymore, just assuming. I responded calmly. Didn't your rich boyfriend rent a villa or something? I thought he was wealthy enough to get you a place. Guess he's not that rich after all. What a shame. I was about to add. Maybe he ran out of daddy's money. Tell him to go beg for more. But I held myself back. My answer must have really burned her. Because she called my father-in-law, saying we weren't lending the house. So now he had to find a venue for her. I think he refused. And she threw a full-blown tantrum, saying that as the father of the bride, he had to at least cover half the venue cost. she said. I'm not asking you for anything. But you could talk to your son and daughter-in-law. And the way she said it, with such disgusted tone. Seconds later, he called me. I rejected the call and texted him. We're not lending the house for the event. I didn't want him to beg. I was raised with values, thank you. So that was it. She left, acting like a victim. But still had the audacity to ask me to go to the dress fitting. She must have thought Victor, not I, would make the decision. At first, I wanted to reject the invitation outright. But she doesn't deserve even that courtesy. So I decided to do the opposite. Stand her up. Update 1. Oh, I'm overwhelmed by all your responses. I didn't expect this to get so much attention. Or for so many of you to have fun with what I wrote. Sure, I added a bit of humor. But honestly, everything I wrote is 100% what I actually feel. In fact, I even toned things down. So Papa Reddit wouldn't kick me out of here. It was also a bit of emotional catharsis. You don't call a woman fat and expect her not to hate you for life. Even after venting here, I still had a lot bottled up. So I went to my best friend's house and let it all out. She had a few girlfriends over. But she still let me in and I started ranting about everything. Insulting Bree's toilet water face. Her duck lips, fake lashes, fake eyebrows. And hair like a scrub brush from so much dye. Any woman will understand. If we can't insult someone to their face, for logistical reasons, then we bring out their photos and tear them to shreds with our besties. And that's what I was doing. You won't believe what happened next. My friend's friend, let's call her Mona, works at a hotel. She took my phone, zoomed in on one of Bree's pictures, and said, "Hey, she's one of our regulars. She always comes in with some guy, a lawyer or something." Something didn't add up. A lawyer? It became clear. Bree's fiancé didn't work. Lawyer sounded more like an excuse than a job title. I showed her a picture of Bree's fiancé and asked, "Is it this guy?" She said, "No, it's a different man." I asked, "Are they like friends?" And she said, "The kind of friends who look like they're about to rip each other's clothes off in the hotel lobby. We'd need a fire hose to cool them down." I had been drinking all afternoon. But the moment she said that, I sobered up. That gossip hit me like 100 espressos in one shot. And I was thrilled. Thrilled. I didn't know yet what I'd do with that information. But I felt energized. Like I'd just finished a 12,823-piece puzzle. Where every piece looked the same. So this witch was cheating on her rich, dumb fiancé. I asked Mona to try and get more info about the guy, just a name. I practically begged on my knees for a picture or video of them together. At first she hesitated. The hotel hosts a lot of high-end clients. And if her manager found out, she could lose her job. I promised her name would never come up. And that I'd be grateful for eternity and beyond. That night I went home and slept like a baby. Fed, swaddled, and with a big OL bear tranquilizer. I wasn't even hopeful that she'd get a picture. The engagement party was in 3 days. What were the odds that Bree would come back with that guy on a shift when Mona was working? Pretty low. But I underestimated how much of a cheater Bree was. And how horny too, apparently. One thing I was sure of though. Bree would not be having her engagement party at my house. She could do whatever she wanted elsewhere. But not in my dream home. I told Victor my decision, and he agreed. He asked me to tell her myself. I refused. So he called his parents instead and let them know that I didn't want to lend the house. My father-in-law put her on the call and asked her to apologize immediately. It was Victor, my father-in-law, and Bree on the call. And she had the nerve to say I was too motherly looking. And didn't match the aesthetic she was going for. She said she would have asked me to hit the gym. Maybe even dye my hair blonde. If the party wasn't so soon. So it was better if I just didn't participate. Victor demanded she take it back and apologize. She hung up instead. I told him I'd handle it my way. And to stay out of it. He nodded. I knew he would. He was too busy with work to get caught up in this nonsense. But this kind of nonsense? This is my bread and butter. Especially now that my honor had been insulted. 2 days before the engagement party, my friend and I went to the house. I just couldn't imagine Bree walking around my dream home. We called a locksmith and changed the locks. Yes, Bree had a key to our house, long story. The night before the engagement party, Mona messaged me. Bree had returned to the hotel with that same guy. I didn't push, but I asked Mona to please try to get a photo and find out his name. Reluctantly, she snapped a picture of them walking into the lobby. Clearly all over each other. She also checked the booking system and got his name. She couldn't get video, too risky. But that was fine. I looked him up. Turns out, he was a lawyer at Bree's fiancé's parents' firm. The day of the engagement party arrived. I opened the house for the event staff and decorators. The main event was supposed to be in the garden, with dinner and mingling indoors afterward. I told the organizer to start decorating inside first. When they finished indoors and moved to the garden, I locked the door discreetly. If a decorator needed something, they'd knock or ring, and I'd open it. Nobody suspected a thing. I drew all the curtains except for one. I sat behind it, peeking out, waiting for the show to begin. At 2 p.m., my in-laws arrived, first guests. They saw the house was locked and peeked through the open curtain, noticing it was already decorated. They asked the organizer for the keys. He said the lady of the house locked it. They assumed he meant Bree, since they thought I wasn't attending. I heard them say that this must have been part of Bree's plan to reveal the house after the ceremony and continue the party inside. They waited outside, overseeing the garden decorations. Guests arrived little by little. Eventually, they all sat outside, as the decor suggested. At almost 4, Bree arrived with her bridal party. Since when do people have bridesmaids for engagements? But whatever, she had them. She tried opening the door with her key. It didn't work. She called the event team asking why it was locked. They told her the owner locked it. She replied, "I am the owner." The guy responded, "No, there was another lady earlier." That's when Bree realized it was me. She called Victor. He told her he was in a meeting and had no time for this. A bit later, her fiancé arrived with his family and friends. And wow, did he lose it. My in-laws were mortified. I felt bad for them, but sorry. I'm not letting their daughter walk all over me just to keep up appearances. Bree insisted on proceeding outside as planned. While trying to sort out the door, her fiancé shouted, "How could someone else lock our own house?" Oh man, I laughed so hard hearing that. Before locking the door, I had hooked up a garden hose from an indoor faucet and ran it through the window. I turned the water on. Within minutes, the lawn was soaked, then flooded. Guests had to move to the driveway. Someone suggested breaking the door with a hammer. Bree's fiancé and some guys started trying to force it open. That's when I opened it myself. Everyone froze. Bree pushed through the crowd and came up to me. She literally begged me to keep quiet. and just let the event happen. I said. Sorry. I can't help someone who insults and humiliates me. Her fiancé's parents entered and asked. Is this your house? I answered. Yes. And she wanted to use it while excluding me. Because, apparently, I'm too ugly to match her vision. Everyone around them stood stunned. As any normal person would be after hearing that. I locked the door again from outside and began to leave. My in-laws approached me, asking me to move past this. And save them from the shame. I apologized sincerely to them. Then handed Bree's fiancé a printed copy of the photo Mona sent me. I said. You might want to look into this. Your fiancé's been visiting hotels, with your lawyer. The photo said it all. I walked away, gracefully. Yes, a mischievous part of me wanted to stay and witness the chaos. But I'm a classy woman. Needless to say, the engagement was cancelled. From my front door camera, I saw that the groom's parents left first. Disgusted, Bree tried to stop her fiancé. He brushed her off and left with his friends. My in-laws stood there, crushed. Bree cried and yelled after them. They walked away without even acknowledging her. She called Victor crying, saying I had ruined her life. He told her. Maybe you should have thought of the consequences before messing with my wife. I wish we'd had the irrigation system installed already. It's still in the plans. If it had been, I would have turned on the sprinklers and shouted through the security camera. Soak it up, witch. But no. I just used the mic and said, boo boo boo. Since then, silence. No social media posts. No calls. Nothing. I feel bad for my in-laws. But respectfully, they didn't raise Bree right. That's why they're suffering now. Update 2. I have some news and a brief update. Bree's engagement was cancelled, obviously. That's not the news. But not only that, her fiancé sued his lawyer for breach of fiduciary duty and conspiracy to commit fraud. It came to light that Bree had manipulated him into forging the prenup in exchange for sexual favors. They were also planning a financial fraud together. Her fiancé actually reached out to me and thanked me for saving his skin. Turns out, he wasn't the fool I thought he was. She had lied to him about everything, her job, owning the house, her lack of experience, even about not being full of Botox. The only thing that still boggles me, besides my stomach from hunger, is how he didn't realize that last one. How do you see that baboon face with an allergic reaction and not suspect something? He offered us a vacation package to the Maldives as a thank you gesture for saving him. But I humbly declined, not wanting to get involved any further in that story. Yes, sure. Who would turn something like that down? Who turns down winning the lottery and having loads of money for the rest of your life, all to avoid sleeping with a sleazy lawyer? I don't like them. And ending your relationship right after planning your engagement party in your sister-in-law's house who hates you. For many things, but especially for calling her fat. But I don't want to give too many details. Just know the answer is, no one. Victor and I moved into our new house about 2 weeks later. The decorations that were going to be used for the engagement party were honestly too beautiful to waste. So we used them for our housewarming party instead and invited everyone, except Bree. My in-laws politely declined the invitation, saying they weren't feeling well. I realized they didn't want to face friends and family after what had happened. It doesn't matter. The party we threw was amazing. Everyone was celebrating to the rhythm of boom 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 while waving around the photos of Bree that were meant for the engagement. Oh, and it turns out Bree was right about one thing. I really was swelling. And you know why? Because I'm pregnant. Thanks for putting up with me. I'll update you if there are any new developments. Now off to enjoy the Maldives, baby. Update 3. We're slowly getting back to normal. Between parties and the Maldives, I was a bit out of my natural habitat. But in my case, that's easy to fix, just get back to work and daily routines. For others, like my sister-in-law, things are a bit harder. Sometimes I joke that she would have been better off choosing Germany in World War II as her enemy. Because she would have faced fewer attacks than she got from me. The Botox must have leaked into her brain, because honestly, she wasn't thinking straight when she called me fat. My last little prank? You might ask. Just a small thing I did. My sister-in-law has been living with my in-laws since she ran out of money. And still hasn't found another poor fool to fund her whims. The last one even took her iPhone, so she can't show off with it anymore. So now she's staying at my in-laws' place. But in a surprising move, they've assigned her a few household chores while she lives there. One of those chores, believe it or not, because I didn't, was mowing the lawn. Neither my husband nor I believed it until my father-in-law sent us a photo of her doing it. When I saw it, I said, I can't miss this. So I broke a few traffic laws and ran some red lights. But hey, you don't see my sister-in-law working every day. It's like they resurrected a mammoth with genetic engineering and put it on display at the mall. You just don't miss that. This creature might be a bit ugly and have a face mummified with Botox. But a free exhibit is a free exhibit. And I couldn't believe it, there she was, dressed to the nines, mowing the lawn. But doing it. I pulled up in my car and asked her. Working hard or hardly working? She screamed at me, get out of here. But I didn't hear her. I asked her, what happened to your backup boyfriend, the lawyer? No answer. So I kindly informed her there was a part of the lawn that was uneven, still long. That was a lie, but she looked anyway. And finally, before leaving, I said, I think the Botox on the right side is wearing off. I'm starting to see a wrinkle from the sun. She looked at me like, I don't believe you. But I kept staring at her until she ran inside to find a mirror. Then I left. Because my father-in-law shouted from the porch, beer in hand. Leave my employees alone. I still say picking a fight with the Germans was less problematic. At least the torture ended when the Allies showed up. My sister-in-law has no allies. Moral of the story, don't comment on another woman's weight. You might just start World War III, Botox edition.